So it's another day. It's going to be in the 90s today. They got a heat advisory, but I don't think it's that bad. There's a little breeze coming from the east, so once again, don't need the air conditioner. I got two things I want to talk to you about today. One is about our food supply, and the other is about the government's going to shut off our water. So as you know, I live off grid. We've been living off grid for about 2 years, and we're pretty much self-sustaining now. Most everything we do, we generate on our own: food, water, electricity. We have our own shelter, obviously, a little tiny house, and defense. Those are the things that you need. I've been talking to you about the differences between preppers, stockpilers, and living off grid, self-sustaining during an SHTF. And the reason I've done that is because these preppers, that's what they continuously talk about, is the SHTF situation. Well, as I've said before, they're not going to survive the SHTF because you can't stockpile enough food. Now people are starting to wordsmith me in the comment section. Well, that's not what SHTF means. SHTF means it's short term. Well, no one's ever specified how much time is an SHTF. There are folks who are assuming that the SHTF is going to last no longer than a year, so they have their year's food. And a lot of people say, how much food should I stockpile for? Well, how could you possibly know how long to stockpile for? If EMP went off, like the preppers keep talking about, it could last for generations, or at least decades, because they wouldn't be able to make new transformers. We'd basically have to start over from scratch. And then there's the other situation where it's a planned event, where they have decided that they're going to take things away from you, and you have to do what they want you to do, or you need to be self-sustaining. And so today's example is, I've been saying for a while that they're going to start forcing us to eat bugs. Now, there are a lot of countries that do eat bugs, but they don't eat bugs because they want to. They eat bugs because that's all there is to eat. Southern Africa countries and different things, they eat bugs. Angelina Jolie has adopted a lot of children from South Africa, and apparently she's a big let's eat bug advocate because she spends a lot of time in South Africa. And I think Nicole Kidman is another one. I didn't see any videos on that, but regardless, I think she's one. Well, I did see a video the other day, and it was Robert Downey Jr. was on the Colbert Show, the late night show, or the night show, whatever you want to call it, and he is now eating bugs. It's a bug meal. They grind it up, and it's just a bug meal. So he was trying to get Colbert to eat the bugs. Now, I don't watch TV. It's just what I see on videos. He is advocating that we start eating bugs. Now, I know a lot of people still seem to think that, oh, this is years away down the road. Those millennials, they'll have to deal with it. It's not us, and we're never going to have to deal with it. Well, that's not true. They're actually doing it now, according to this Robert Downey Jr. guy. Now, obviously, he's a famous actor. He's Iron Man. And it's like Superman. If Superman were to tell you to eat bugs, everybody be eating bugs because that's the fad. That's what everybody starts to do. Well, here's Iron Man telling you to eat bugs. Well, I've been watching these carnivorous diet doctors, and they're saying there's a lot of potential problems with it. This is where salmonella and parasites, and like 90% of the parasites come from bugs. You know, the parasites that we get come from bugs. All the diseases that we are affected by come from bugs. And so there's going to be a higher potential of these contaminations being in bugs versus beef. Now, there are things that can happen to beef. We've all seen it. Same with chicken. Chicken, I've learned that if they eat bugs, certain bugs, actually very popular bugs, they can get parasites and salmonella, and all the things that we don't want in our chicken is coming from bugs. They eat the bugs. So these farmers are saying, no, we don't feed our chicken bugs. They're actually stating that we're not going to sell chicken that has been fed bugs because it causes sicknesses. So here we are now just going to eat the bugs and hope for the best. So now that they've started this, people are still saying, okay, this is years away. Well, it's not true. Robert Downey Jr. said that they're actually starting to put it in foods already. You just don't know it. It's part of the mix. You know, you read all the ingredients on the back of the can, and you're like, what the heck is all that? Well, apparently they've slipped in bugs now. Now, again, I only get YouTube. I don't watch TV, so I'm only getting half the information. I feel like that they're doing this sort of like they did with soy. They told us how great soy was, and so they started feeding it to our kids. I was in school in the 80s when they started feeding it to us. All the hamburger, was soy burgers. My high school, that's all they served. They served pizza or soy burgers. That's all you could have. So I always got the pizza. I mean, it wasn't that I wouldn't have eaten the hamburgers. I probably ate a hamburger every now and then. Now we're learning that soy can dramatically affect men's testosterone levels. I was just watching, I call him my doctor. He's a carnivorous diet doctor on YouTube. I watch him every day. And he was talking about a study that they'd done after exercise, and the men who ate soy had less testosterone than men who don't eat soy. So there's actually still studies being conducted on soy. Well, so what is that, 30 years ago in the 80s, 90s, they were introducing soy. Well, what is it going to be like when they introduce the bugs and we all start eating bugs, not even thinking about it? Okay, we'll just eat it because that's what's in the store and it looks good, it tastes okay. And then all of a sudden, 30 years from now, we'll find out that it's been killing us, and it's just that it's not what humans are supposed to eat. And that's obvious, otherwise it wouldn't be full of human parasites and diseases that harm humans. So I refuse to eat it. I'm not going to eat it. I'm going to raise my chickens. And they're going to produce eggs, and they're going to give me chicken meat. Now, right now, I can still go to the store and I can buy beef and pork and all the things that I want. But we've seen it from farmers all over the country. I think it was Holland, don't quote me, it's either Holland or Ireland or something like that. There was a farmer on YouTube, and he said that the restrictions on farmers right now are so tight because of nitrogen in the fertilizer they use, that really the only way they can meet the new requirements is by cutting their herd in half. You have to be able to prove that you've reduced your nitrogen levels to a judge by a certain percentage. And he said, I couldn't prove to the judge. He said the only way I could do it was just cut my herd down. So they're already forcing farmers to reduce the amount of beef, pork, chicken, and everything that they're producing. We're seeing it in Canada. Canada put a bunch of restrictions on nitrogen. So the only way you're going to be able to eat the things you like still is to raise it on your own. Now, I'm a carnivore. That's all we're going to eat. We've been eating that way probably 6 to 8 months now. I've never felt healthier. And I've explained this many times. So it would be really unfortunate just when I found the diet that's working great for me that they would start taking it away from us. Now, the other thing I keep talking about is carbohydrates, processed foods, anything made with corn, wheat, all that, that's all carbohydrates. And it's a killer. It's sugar. Again, they fed all this junk to us since the 70s and 80s. And now we're starting to realize, oh, wait, carbohydrates is really bad for us. There's been a lot of studies and different things about obesity in America and how it's just really on the rise and really can't figure out why it's on the rise. Well, it's carbohydrates. If we can get back to the regular diets that we used to eat, at least we'd be off carbohydrates. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about in relationship to self-sustaining and getting all the things that you want and need in life to survive, the 4 things, food, water, shelter, and defense, is New Mexico. There's a town in New Mexico is now saying that they're only 50 days or 48 days left of water in their reservoir. That's all they got. So the entire town, I'm not going to mention the town, not that it's top secret or anything, but I don't want to confuse everybody. Let's just call it a town in the state of New Mexico. What happened is there was a forest fire, and something got into the river or stream that they take water from, the town takes water from, to filter. The filters in this processing plant, the water filtration plant, can't filter out whatever it is that was in this fire and got into the water. My understanding, they don't know when it's going to be rectified. So that means in 50 or 48 days, they're not going to have any water. Now, this can happen anywhere. We've heard about this up in Michigan where there was lead in the water. It's everywhere. This can happen anytime. I know the town I used to live in, they always sent out these reports saying how great the water was. Well, we had a reverse osmosis system which filters water. It's a really high efficiency water filtration system. But I started noticing that all the dogs that drank water, of course all the dogs drank water, and there were a lot of townspeople that were getting cancer and tumors and different things, whereas we didn't. So it had, to me, in my mind, not that I'm a scientist or did any studies, there was contamination in the water. These studies that they sent out all the time was just a bunch of hooey. The same thing, my mother's municipality. I always noticed that the animals in her town always had tumors on their legs and different things. I think they've cleaned up their act over that in that particular town. This is a serious problem in our country where the water is just full of contaminations. They put fluoride in it. Now, a lot of people think that fluoride is a poison. I've read studies that if you have too much fluoride, it can be a poison. Yeah, it's great for the teeth apparently, but I honestly believe that they had this chemical laying around and they back in the 30s and 40s, and they're like, oh, what do you want to do with it? Just put it in the water and drink, let everybody drink it. There's just a lot of junk in our society that is making us sick. And so they want to feed us bugs and soy, and it's going to make us sick, or it is making us sick. Now the water. So what I would suggest with the water is I'll put it on the product list. It'll be on the screen. You touch the screen, it'll say product list. You click that, there'll be a product list. Or you can go down in the description, and there should be something that says product list down there. What it is YouTube sells things. And I'm going to put a link to a Berkey water filtration system. A lot of people who have followed this channel for years have gotten one. They all tell me they love it. We've had one, well actually I've had 3 in my life. The first one my ex took with her when she left. The second one burned up in a fire, and this one is the third one. Now, when we were nomads, we were using our Berkey water filtration system to filter out stream water and just all kinds of nasty water, rusty water. I've got a lot of videos on Berkeys in my lineup. They are an amazing filtration system. They take out 99.99999% of everything. So what we do is, like I've told you before, we never tested our well. We pump our well into the IBC tank, and then I put chlorine in it, pretty much just to keep the algae from growing in it. Then any water we drink, we put through the Berkey, and it's just pure water. It doesn't taste like anything. So I would suggest that you look into that. But if you can't afford one of those, you may want to go to the Walmart and get one of those filtration systems they got there. They're not very good. They don't filter out near as much as what the Berkey can, but it does good in a pinch. The Berkey, you know, it filters out lead and mercury and all these things. Now somebody's going to say, oh no it doesn't. Every time somebody says, oh no it doesn't, I find in the list on the box that the filter comes in has just 100 things, tons of things that it filters out. I always keep a spare set of filters just in case something happens to these. I've also made a Berkey using buckets. I hope I can inspire you to think about being self-sustaining so you don't have to deal with society. Thanks for watching.